This is a new project we're starting here in Tipperary. Its proper term is an old British Army barracks, circa 1810. So what's happened here is they removed all the cement and they were going to re-render it as it should be. But what often happens in these buildings is when the render is removed, the client loves the stonework and they say, oh God, we have to keep this stonework, and they tend to leave it exposed. But that's not good conservation practice. And what's happened on this job is going to create a challenge for us. So what we'll do is we'll go in now and I'll just talk about the outside of the building, what has happened here, what product was used on the building, and how we're going to get out of this situation. Okay? So the reason we re-render all these buildings is they should have been re-rendered. They were always re-rendered anyway. There's evidence down at the back that we can show you why this was always rendered. This is random rubble, and what's happened here is the clients sought professional advice to try and keep the stone exposed, and the advice they were given breaks the basic conservation principles such as reversibility. Now the reason we render these buildings is to allow easy moisture transit through the open connected micropores, and what was advised to paint onto this building was a breathable sealer. Imagine, a breathable sealer. Now there is a debate, does it even work? So I'm going to show you here what's happened when the breathable sealer was painted onto this building. So when we put the hose onto this, you see it doesn't soak in, look. It just runs down the wall. It turns to bubbles and runs down the wall. So that's called hydrophobic, where the water repels. It's afraid to get into stone, it can't penetrate the stone, and hydrophilic is when it penetrates the stone, or when the bubbles spread out flat. So that's what's after happening here, and this is repelling the water because there's a breathable sealer painted on it. One of the basic conservation principles are broken, and as a result of this, we have to now sandblast the front of this building to remove, we'll say maybe less than 1 mil of the stone, and that'll remove it. But what we're doing here is removing historic fabric, which we shouldn't be. So we'll go downstairs now. We'll go down to the next level, and I'll show you how, after the sandblasting, we've the bottom of the house sandblasted. So we'll see now how the water reacts downstairs, and we see if we've it sorted. So this is the bottom level of the building that we're after sandblasting. You can see it here. It's shiny. Now watch the way the water soaks into the stone now this time. Now, that's directly under what we done upstairs a minute ago. So what we'll do now is go back on the lawn and we'll have a look at the two differences. We'll see where one soaked in and where one didn't. So you can see at the bottom there, the water has soaked in and it's remaining on the wall there. At the top, it's literally gone. It has ran down the wall onto our level. Now some of you might say that, well, how do you know it was rendered? I can show you evidence there now, and most of these, if not all of these buildings, were always intended to be rendered to keep the walls dry and keep the water out. So let's walk around and we'll have a look at a few things. So first of all, it's bricked up along the chimneys. They wouldn't have left that exposed. It's random rubble built to courses, and what's most interesting is over here. Are these windowsills. So These windowsills were actually carved out of the lump of rock. If you come around the corner here, Cohen, you'll see the lump of rock in there. So the top of the windowsill the front of the windowsill was carved out of a lump of stone. But look at the distance between the troton and the wall itself. There is a huge amount of area there to allow for render. There's also evidence on the wall of old bits of scud coats and stuff like that. And you can see here where the mason, back in the 1800s, it's still trowel marks on the old mortar. But that's the evidence there now, mostly that sill, how far it's set out and how far the troton is. So the thing I think to remember are basic conservation principles, and one of them basic conservation principles is reversibility. In this case, there's lots of products out there on offer, like breathable sealers, which is debatable. How can that even work? It's supposed to be half filling the pores, therefore allowing a small bit of breathability, but that's debatable. That I don't think that should not be done, and it never was done. There should be a coat of render put on all these walls to keep the fabric of the wall dry, and when the fabric of the wall is dry, your house is warm.